Ever picture yourself like in one of those high-tech control rooms, you know the ones, in an oil refinery, the kind of place where you're the one making sure all those massive pumps are running smoothly?
Yeah.
That's what we're diving into today.
Hmm.
The world of petroleum pump system operators.
It's a big responsibility.
It is. It's a career that's, well, it's crucial to keeping our energy systems going, and it needs some serious technical know-how. But you know what's a nice perk?
It's that.
The potential for, like, really good earnings.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what goes great with high earning potential?
Acing that job interview.
Nailed it.
And that, my friend, is where RoleCatcher enters the scene.
They're awesome. Their career and interview guides, they're like laser focused on this exact role.
No generic stuff here. Okay, so let's pretend we're walking into that interview, right? First question they hit us with.
Tell us about your experience operating petroleum pump systems. It's a classic.
Now, what if my resume doesn't exactly scream oil refinery?
That's okay, honestly. Even if you've never clocked in at a refinery before, think about anything you've done that's related.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, have you ever worked with pumps before, even in a totally different field? Or maybe taken a course that taught you about industrial systems? Even an internship, where you got a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, of how these big systems work, that all counts.
So it's all about making those connections for them, showing how your skills match up.
Exactly. Don't be shy. Spell it out. Say you were the one everyone relied on to keep equipment humming in a super fast-paced environment. Or maybe you're like the go-to person for troubleshooting when things go haywire. Those are golden skills, even in a refinery setting.
So it's like saying, hey, I might not be a refinery expert yet, but I'm a fast learner, and I've got the track record to prove it.
100%. And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI, it can help you articulate all that clearly and effectively.
Oh, for real? Tell me more about that.
So you put in your past experience, right? And their AI engine, it takes that information and suggests ways to present it that will resonate with what hiring managers in this field are looking for.
Okay, I see the value there. Big time. So we've nailed the experience part. They're impressed. Now they ask, how do you make sure those systems are operating at, peak performance? What are they trying to figure out about me with that?
They want to know if you're proactive, someone who pays attention to the details.
Because anyone can, flip a switch on and off.
Exactly. They need someone who gets the whole picture. Preventative maintenance, regular inspections, that kind of thing. Someone who spots those little red flags before they turn into a 5-alarm system meltdown.
So I'm good at following instructions isn't going to cut it.
Not really. Aim higher. Imagine saying, at my last job, I actually developed a whole system for monitoring our equipment. It helped us cut down on downtime by 15%.
Okay, now that's impressive. It's about showing them you're not just reacting to problems. You're staying ahead of the game.
Exactly. You're anticipating, not just responding.
All right, next up, safety.
Huge in a refinery. Huge.
I can imagine. So the question is probably something like safety first. How do you make sure protocols are followed to a T?
You got it. And this is where you got to drive home that in this environment, safety isn't just a checkbox. It's got to be part of your DNA.
Okay, so how do we get that across in an interview? What are they really listening for?
They want to hear about your system. How do you stay updated on the latest safety protocols? Are you the kind of person who actively hunts down that information? Do you share what you learn? And then, of course, how do you make sure everyone on your team is trained up and using their safety gear properly?
So you're showing them that safety is more than a line on the job description. It's something you genuinely care about.
Exactly. It's about walking the walk. And think about some real-life examples to back it up. Did you ever spot a potential hazard and actually do something about it? Were you part of implementing a new safety measure? Those are the details that'll make you memorable.
You know what I find interesting? RoleCatcher's Guide. It actually gives you the words to frame those examples. They call it your safety story.
Love that.
Yeah, it's like having a story ready to go that really highlights how much safety matters to you,
Yeah.
Especially for people who get those interview jitters and blank on the basics.
Oh, 100%. Having that story locked and loaded would be huge. Okay, we've hit some big ones: experience, safety. But this job's about more than just not blowing stuff up, right? What about keeping those pumps humming?
Efficiency. That's the name of the game, right? In any industrial process, but especially in a refinery.
So how might they ask about that in an interview? Get ready for something like, how do you ensure those petroleum pump systems are operating efficiently and effectively? See, they don't just want to know you can keep things running. They want to know you're doing it the smartest way possible.
This feels like where a deep understanding of the system comes in, really knowing your stuff.
Right on. This is where you might mention things like flow rates, pressure levels, even how much energy the system's using. Have you ever found a way to, optimize a system? Maybe not in a refinery, but somewhere else.
Right.
Like maybe you streamlined a process at your last job or came up with a clever fix that made things more efficient.
This is where I'd start to sweat a little. What if most of my experience isn't from that world, oil and gas? How do I make it relevant?
That, my friend, is where RoleCatcher's AI tools really shine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they have this feature where you can literally copy and paste the job description you're interviewing for.
No way.
Yeah, and the AI analyzes the language, picks out those key skills they're looking for.
So I could put in a description that says, like, optimizing pump performance. And it'll help me connect my past experience to that, even if I wasn't working at a refinery.
Exactly. It's like having your own personal resume and interview translator.
Okay, that's amazing. That's got to be a huge confidence boost going into an interview. All right, so let's say we've totally nailed the efficiency question. What's next?
Inevitably, something's going to go wrong.
Oh, for sure.
And they're going to want to know, how are you going to handle it? So expect a question like, how do you troubleshoot when things go sideways with those pump systems?
It's a test, isn't it? Not just of what you know, but how you think under pressure.
Totally. It's about showing them you've got a system, a calm and collected way of tackling problems. Can you walk them through your process? Like, do you start by figuring out what the symptoms are? Do you check the manuals, run diagnostics?
Right, so you're not just randomly hitting things until something works.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to get a little technical here. If you've got specific techniques or tools up your sleeve, this is the time to mention them. Even sharing a story about a time you fixed a really tricky issue, even if it wasn't in a refinery, that can be super impactful.
Okay, so we've covered experience, big performance, safety, efficiency, troubleshooting, anything else they might hit us with.
Well, remember how we talked about preventative maintenance earlier? They might zero in on that. Like, how do you make sure those systems are always in tip-top shape, meeting quality standards?
It's like they're driving home the point that keeping things running smoothly is just as important as knowing how to fix them when they break.
100%. They want to be sure you're not cutting corners. This is your chance to reiterate that you're all about following the rule, doing those thorough checks, and keeping meticulous records.
And probably mentioning that any repairs or replacements would be up to the highest standards, right?
Yeah.
Man, this whole conversation just screams attention to detail.
For sure, a tiny mistake in a refinery. That can have massive consequences.
Which is probably why they ask about managing a team, even if it's not technically a management role.
Oh, interesting point.
Right.
Yeah. They might ask something like, how would you manage a team of operators to ensure everything's running smoothly?
Even if you've never had that official manager title, they're looking for leadership, right?
Absolutely. This is where you talk about how you communicate, how you motivate people, delegate tasks, and bring everyone together to achieve a shared goal.
It's like, even if you're not the one calling all the shots, you're still a leader, setting the tone.
You got it. And don't forget, even if you haven't officially managed people before, you can still pull from times when you stepped up and took charge.
Okay, yeah, I see that.
Like, did you mentor someone new? Or maybe lead a project? Or even just saw a way to improve something and took the initiative?
Those are the stories that really paint a picture, right? It's about showing, not just telling. Going through all these questions, it makes you realize this role, it's not just about the technical stuff. It's a mindset.
Totally. And RoleCatcher's career guide, they get that. They talk about how important continuous learning is in this field.
Makes sense with technology always changing and everything.
Exactly. Companies need people who are hungry to learn to stay ahead of the curve.
So even if you've aced every technical question, it's that commitment to growing that shows them you're in it for the long haul. How do you recommend showcasing that in an interview?
Talk about what you want to learn. Have you thought about certifications, conferences? Are there any industry publications you follow? Those are all green flags.
And maybe even mentioning something specific you're excited about. Like, I'm really interested in how automation is changing the game for efficiency and safety.
Now you're talking. That kind of passion, it's contagious.
It's like the final touch, the thing that makes you stand out.
Well, we've covered a ton today. From what it takes to be a petroleum pump system operator to how to rock that interview. Any last words of wisdom for our listeners who are feeling fired up and ready to dive into this world? Prep, prep, prep. And remember, RoleCatcher, they're not just throwing generic advice at you. They're AI tools. They can dissect job descriptions, pinpoint the skills that matter most, even give you feedback on your answers. It's like having a secret weapon for your job hunt.
It's like they've taken all the stress out of it.
Yeah.
So to everyone listening, whether you're just dipping your toes into this career path or you're ready to land that dream job, remember, solid prep and the right tools, that's your winning combo.
And don't underestimate the power of genuine excitement. That commitment to always keep learning, those are the things that'll set you apart.
Couldn't agree more. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of petroleum pump system operators. Hope you all found it useful, maybe even a little inspiring. Until next time, happy job hunting.